so. Let's go. Mm-hmm. That's so good. That's wild.
All right, so I've got my bunny suit on, which protects the space telescope from me and any particles that may come off of me. So we are at Northrop Grumman Space Park in Redondo Beach, and we're gonna go see the James Webb Space Telescope. So let's go. Right now, we're in a huge clean room, and like everyone else, we've all got on bunny suits. And this is NASA's James Webb Space Telescope. This telescope was envisioned shortly after Hubble's launch to continue on the next phase of questions about our universe. It's going to look in the infrared spectrum of light and then seek the light of those really early forming galaxies, and then try to answer the questions about our universe. And so what we're witnessing right now is the two major halves of the telescope being put together. What's really exciting about what's happening right now is that we are in the final stages of construction. So above us, we've got the optical portion of the telescope, which has just been integrated with the other bottom half, the sun shield and the spacecraft bus, which is just below it. But let's continue on. And coming around this side is the most spectacular view of this whole thing, because you can see there are these 18 gold mirrors. They are real gold. And the reason is because gold reflects infrared light the best. Webb is going to try to solve the mysteries of our solar system. It's going to look to worlds around distant stars, and then look at the mysterious structures, and then try to explain the origins of our universe. And no project like this can be done alone. So Webb is an international program. It's led by NASA with its partners, the European Space Agency and the Canadian Space Agency.
Well, hello everybody. This is Scott Roberts with Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance, and I am here with Chuck and Ross, and also I think Cameron's with us today too, and their special guest, I can't even say it, Doug Struble. Doug's been on our programs before, an incredible astrophotographer. Chuck and Ross, you want to take it away?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, we would love to. Captain Roberts, thanks for getting us on the ship. We've all boarded now, and we've had a little time to get the ship ready for blast off. And you know, when you blast off on the mothership, the boosters, they really need that liquid oxygen. And so we were thinking, who is the best guy for collecting that ionized oxygen? That incredible light that so many planetary nebulas are filled with. And you know, there is one man that does it just about better than anybody. He has more images of the day on AstroBin than anyone else I can find. He's great with the camera, and if you have been in astrophotography for a little while, you probably know his name. I think the first time I bought my telescope and came into this store, I knew about him. So, Mr. Douglas Struble, thank you so much for coming on today. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing?
We're doing great. And since we are about to blast off, I'm going to, for our audience, I'm going to run through some fantastic images of yours real quick, just to get us up to hyper speed real quick. So I'm going to share my screen And here we go. So what we see here is the sun, obviously. And let's go back one image. So there's the Earth, and we've just taken off. And oh my gosh! The Earth has exploded. And we're going. Oh man, there's another plasma jet coming from Future World Media. And now we're gonna go through. Well, there we go. There's some oxygen. It's taken. Come on, computer. Oh, there's some more. Here we go. There is just I could not narrow it down, guys. I tried to just do 3, but you know when you got a guest like Douglas Struble, there you go. You know, a guy who's had his pictures in magazines multiple times. One of a kind, a phenomenal photographer that I hope to, replicate somewhat these images at some point in the future. He has got a monster refractor from Explore Scientific, our 165 millimeter. And like I said, as you can see, there are a ton of awesome images this man has taken, and this is his most recent one. So let's start with that, Mr. Struble.
Yeah. So I don't know if I should share my screen or.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let me stop sharing. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Let me.
Okay. So you.
Okay. Yeah, right here. Okay. So this particular object is. Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this particular object is called NGC40. It circles around Polaris, and behind it is a separate object called CTA1, which is a supernova remnant. While NGC40 is really bright, CTA1 is super faint, and not too many people capture it. I think it's only been captured a couple times because of how faint it is. I had to do over 106 hours of integration time just to pull that out, and as you can see, it still looks pretty faint. I tried to push the data as hard as I could, but I didn't want to push it to the point where it started to look really bad. So that's about what I came out with. I originally had this set up with 2 different telescopes, and in my slide off, I could show you a couple things here. So this is my my slide off observatory right here in my backyard. I am what's called a Bortle 8 right here, which is just outside of Detroit. As you can see, I'm kind of in a white zone here.
I see a guy crying right there.
Yes, that's me crying.
Because you have to get the 3 nanometer.
Yes. Yeah. So that is me crying, having to do a lot more integration time in order to pull out these things.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Narrowband seems to help out quite a bit. It kind of, when you're shooting narrowband, it's just a small sliver of the visual spectrum. So light pollution doesn't affect it as much, aside from oxygen. But I use a really low 3 nm oxygen filter to help alleviate that problem. So when I'm setting up at night, I have what's called a Skycam, which is actually just an IP camera.
Cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, pointing up here, so I could not only see the clouds moving in, but I could also see what my telescopes are doing in case they decide to do some weird Skynet thing where they develop a mind of their own and do something stupid. So I could watch that going on. And then I have 2 Windows laptops out there, one for each rig, using Sequence Generator Pro on both of them, so I can monitor both things inside the house on my Mac Pro tower that I use. And that is actually, so where I monitor things from is right here.
Wow.
Well, this is also my studio I use for work. So I'm independently employed. I do advertising production. And
SpaceX.
Yeah, I'm able to use these computers not only for work but for astrophotography as well. So I have two Mac Pro desktops, and I use them for monitoring my quote unquote he shed, and doing the processing itself.
So Douglas, will you? Because I want to try that Sequence Generator Pro. I just haven't gotten to yet. What's your experience with it?
It's really good. I'm kind of disappointed they went to a prescription model, so you can't just buy it outright anymore. You have to do a yearly subscription, and that seems like what a lot of software companies are going to. I mean, obviously, like Adobe does, they go to that. But I mean, this is not, something that's a lucrative career. We're hobbyists, right?
Right.
So going to a subscription model like that, I just don't think is fair for people that are just doing it as a hobby. So I heard people have been migrating over towards other imaging capture packages. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. I heard there's a couple other good ones out there that are free or cheap. But I just know Sequence Generator Pro really well, so that's what I've been using.
Yeah.
What cameras are you using?
So when doing deep space, I use primarily Zoo cameras, and on my 165, I was using a ASI 1600 Pro, and then on my 102 millimeter, I was using the same camera, just another version of it. But then I just bought a 183 Pro recently, which has a lot smaller pixels and a much bigger image scale. So I tried that on the 102, and it came out to basically the same image scale as the 165. So on the latest project, I had both telescopes going on it. So like one was 0.064 arc seconds per pixel, and the other one was 0.063 arc seconds per pixel. So I was able to combine that data between both telescopes and use it. But I originally bought it with the intent of using it on the 165 millimeter because it would bring it down to 0.43 arc seconds per pixel. And I just started an object, Able 79, using the 183 on the 165 Explorer Scientific Telescope. And 0.43 arc seconds per pixel is a bit below my seeing conditions, but I've gotten really good at processing over the years, where I think I could actually, I think I might be able to process that despite my seeing conditions here in Michigan.
And Douglas, because I haven't run into that yet, because my pixel sizes aren't that small. But what I've heard is that there's a little more noise that you have to deal with when your pixels are really small. Is that correct, or am I?
It's not so much the noise; it's the sensitivity. So it's a lot more sensitive. Your ADU mean is going to rise quite a bit if doing the same exposure time. But the biggest pain in the butt with the 183 is the amp glow on the chip. There's a huge amp glow coming off the right side of the chip, and it doesn't always want to calibrate out, which is kind of unfortunate. It does a better job manually processing in PixInsight as opposed to batch pre-processing. For some reason, the algorithms in batch pre-processing leave some of the amp glow on the right side of the chip on the 183, but it's pretty bright. The 183 chip has some serious amp glow, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, but I mean, I think you're still getting fantastic images with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still getting used to the 183. I'm kind of excited to see what happens with the 165 millimeter Explorer Scientific with the 183, and this is the first project that I'm using both of those together, it would be cool to see what happens.
Well, I would love if you could tell me something about one of your images that has made it into that BBC Sky and Night magazine, because I think that's a goal of everybody's.
Yeah.
Yeah, there, right there.
Yeah.
That's the Hecathor, or?
It's a HFG-1, which is a planetary nebula. It's super faint as well. They did a whole page right up on this particular object. But this one right here was 93 hours of data between oxygen and hydrogen. And believe it or not, in this particular case, the hydrogen is actually the weaker channel, which is usually backwards, you know, for that. I mean, whenever these things go into print, it kind of mutes some of the colors. But this is actually what it looks like right here.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a quite interesting object. I did not do this all in 1 year. So this was spanned out from some data from 2018 and from some data from 2020.
Yeah, that's all. It looks like a rocket booster, like coming into our atmosphere.
You know, it reminds me of a horseshoe crab is what it reminds me of.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's name it right now.
Right, the horseshoe crab nebula.
HFG1 is now the horseshoe
All right,
crab.
there it is.
Douglas. The Statue of Liberty Nebula, that was just recently named. I see no reason why that can't be the horseshoe crab.
Which is funny because you can't even see that from up here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And how did you know, what got you into astrophotography, Douglas?
So, you know, that's an interesting conversation. So, my uncle, Robert Nagy, which is my mom's brother, he originally got me into not astrophotography, but astronomy when I was a kid. We went down to Kennedy Space Center. We've been to the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., but he had a Celestron 8-inch SET back in the 80s. And he really sparked my interest in astronomy. I used to write astronauts when I was a kid, you know, a lot of that nerdy stuff. I have a lot of autographed pictures, especially from my prize ones are the Apollo 11 crew, Neil, Buzz, and, you know, all of them. I have some autographed pictures from them. But, you know, he's the one that really inspired me into getting into astrophotography. And then in 2016, I got, you know, a Celestron set up, and I started doing some stuff in the backyard. I started off with planetary work, you know, originally. And then, of course, there's only so much planetary work you can do before it starts to get boring. So that's when I started to get into deep space stuff. And then in 2018, I started to build a slide-off observatory. It's just 8 foot by 10 foot. It's nothing huge. But and then I ran electrical underground for it. But the biggest thing that it affords me is the easeability to set up. There's no setup time. So, like, let's say there's only a couple hours of clear skies for a night, where most people would not want to drag all their stuff out. I could just slide my roof off and just grab a couple hours here, a couple hours there, you know, and it all adds up eventually. And then this is kind of what it looks like close.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I got my
like
little.
your sign. I like the sign on the top left there.
Yeah, top left. I got a little Area 51 warning sign on the right there. This is kind of what it looks like with it rolled off.
Nice. Doug, how do you like the roll-off roof versus like a domed observatory?
I tell you what, the dome would be cool for wind, and maybe some light pollution. But the major downside for me with the dome is that you can only have one telescope.
Yeah.
So if you're having 2-3 rigs or more, you really need like a slide off thing. And in fact, like if you look at some of the rental places, like in Arizona, like DSW, Deep Sky West.
Yeah.
It's just a gigantic slide off pole barn, you know?
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm able to, I knew down the road I didn't want to just have one rig eventually. I wanted to have two or three rigs. So that's why I went and then it's a lot more cost effective. I think between the cement, building it was like around $6,000 or $7,000, which isn't really a whole lot. I mean, that's what I paid for my Mach 1 mount, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you got generally more room inside, you know?
Yeah, you know, and another misnomer is that a lot of people will drill into the ground to mount their pole or their the pier for the telescope. But you don't really need to do that anymore because most people monitor the stuff from inside the house anyway. So, I mean, if you're out there all night long walking around, of course you're going to want to dig that pier into the ground, but there's really no reason for it anymore. So I never did.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what automatic focuser are you using on the 165 there?
So on all my telescopes, the only thing I use is Moonlight. I love Moonlight focusers. I love Ron's customer service. He does a great job, so that's what I'm used to.
We had a customer just recently bring in his 140 with the FPL 53 glass, and it had a Moonlight focuser on it, and that was the first time I had gotten to see one, had gotten to move the focus in and out, and they're fantastic. They are fantastic, and they're really pretty. I like the red. I like the red color as well, and you can get different colors, but
I prefer them a little bit more over feather touch, and the reason why is because Ron makes a lot of custom flange adapters and whatnot. So if he doesn't have one, he'll come up with something for you.
Have you how are you Douglas? Are you just remoting in to those laptops, or did you run cables into your house?
I log in via TeamViewer. I have a Linksys 3 node system, and one of my nodes is in my observatory. If you look in this picture, that little white pillar box by the laptop there, that's one of the nodes.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah. And then
is the roof just manual, or do you have or is it like, do you use one of those like garage door openers?
that is the one thing that's manual. I slide it open myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if like you were like in New York or something, you could remote in like that, hit a button off the remote. I really haven't seen a lot of people do that. I have seen like one guy, I think Rocky Mountain School of Photography has it, but other than that, I've never seen someone that can remote in from a different part of the country and do everything.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a different part of the country, of course it's crucial, Yeah. And you need someone local in case you have a problem. I mean, like for example, zoo cameras are notorious for getting moisture on the chip, and you have to be able to take it off and clean that sensor out and rebake the tabs inside,
Yeah, no, I could never do that. I'm the type of guy, I can't even go to sleep like when I'm taking images. Like I know people that can just go to bed and my brain won't let me do it.
I used to be that way. I personally don't care now. I'll check the satellite and see if there's any storm clouds coming in over the next period of time, and I'll just go to bed.
Yeah, I need to get to that point. I've been having a real problem with meridian flips, so maybe that has something to do with it.
No, that's a good point. So like my astrophysics mount with the 165 has no problem with meridian flips, but my Atlas Pro behind it, the one in the picture here, has problems with meridian flips, but only depending on where it's pointing in the sky.
Yeah. So
the last object I was working on didn't have a problem. This new object that it's working on right now has a problem, and it flips around 12:30 right now. So I need to make sure I stay awake for that to happen. But it's really annoying. I have no idea why the Atlas Pro has problems depending on where it's pointing to do a flip. Yeah,
I feel like that mount is a lottery. Like you either get a good one or you get a bad one.
It's been good to me for the most part. Just the meridian flip, depending on where it's pointing.
I've got one more question. What do you have like a proudest moment in your astrophotography career? Like something that just like, I don't know if it was your first publication or anything really.
Do I have I'm sorry, what was the question?
Do you have like a proudest moment in your astrophotography career?
I think the first publication was probably one of my proudest moments. This is back in 2018 in Sky and Telescope. I got a full page for my very first image that was published.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Did they reach out to you?
No, I submit these,
Okay.
So I submit to Astronomy Magazine, BBC Sky at Night, Sky and Telescope, and then I also submit to APOD,
Yeah.
But for the life of me, I've still yet to ever get an A-pod.
Chuck down the street keeps beating you. I'm just joking. That's how I discovered you. Was Chuck actually? He did that video. He came to your house and you.
Oh yeah, Chuck Ayub. Yeah, we started the same
Yeah.
year, back in 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both Explore guys.
Well, Douglas, do you have on there? I know I downloaded it, but do you have by chance that squid and bat nebula?
Yeah, actually, that was my very first image of the day on Astrobin.
Really? Well,
Yep.
I just think that is just such an interesting example of the oxygen.
Yeah, that auction was a real, you know what? I'll pull it up right here for you.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's beautiful. Gosh.
thanks.
And
Yeah,
that was just discovered relatively recently, I believe, like 15.
it was in the 2000s. This was a year into doing astrophotography. It was 2017.
Wow, that's impressive. That's amazing.
Were you color before mono, or did you go straight into mono after planetary?
I did color for 3 months.
Yeah.
And then I joined a group here in Plymouth, Michigan, which is not too far from me. There's a group of astrophotographers that get together, and we meet at the Plymouth Library. And I met a guy named Jason Gonzo, which I'm sure I know Scott knows. He's been
Jason's another great astrophotographer. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he told me, he's like, you really need to get into mono. And I was like, man, I really don't want to deal with the extra stuff, but I mean, when you get obsessed with this hobby, you start like going deeper down the rabbit hole.
We know.
Yeah, you have total control of all the knobs. Once you can do that, then you just say a little bit more, but then you have total control, which is awesome.
And that's what I've discovered over the years. I mean, it's like, you have total control over it. I mean, like, to the point where like you're processing each channel totally different to bring out what you want,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to start that journey. I've been on color for like 3 years, and I think it's time for me to get off of it. Yeah. So my excuse has always been weather, which I know that's not a good excuse, but I don't know. We'll see where it takes me.
Yeah.
Well, they do
my
say
excuse
light
is I'm in the
pollution.
rainy Pacific Northwest.
Go ahead, Cameron.
I was just saying my excuse is I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so we hardly have any clear nights. So I'm sticking to color for now, but I absolutely would love to go into mono. That's the way to go in the long run, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, this year here in Michigan, it's been a really rainy summer, and
yes, here too.
that combined with the forest fires here, I mean, it's been horrible. I've thrown out so much data just because, like, a lot of people will use a weighting system in PixInsight to go through their files. I actually go through my files one by one and determine for myself if I like the image or not before I add it to the sub collection. I usually look for things like my ADU mean. Like if my ADU mean goes too high, I'll throw out the sub.
And will you, I'm going to go ahead and say it's for our audience, but it really is for me. Will you go ahead and explain ADU? Because I've heard it so many times, and I still haven't really wrapped my head around it yet.
So the ADU is a combination of things. So like if you live in a more light polluted area, you'll see, I don't even know what ADU stands for, to be honest with you, but it's a matter of, it's a measurement system that will help you guide if there's too much light pollution or haze or clouds in the upper atmosphere. So it will start rising the more haze or upper atmosphere smoke from a forest fire that you get. Mm-hmm. So I know my normal operating levels for each camera. The 1600 mm Pro operates at a lower ADU mean because it's less sensitive than, let's say, the 183 mm Pro. So with my 183 Pro, as long as I'm below 2500 or 2700 ADU mean, I'm pretty happy with it. With my 160 or with my 1600 Pro, as long as I'm below 1200 ADU mean, I'm pretty happy with it. Once it start rising, it's usually an indication of upper atmosphere haze, clouds, and those type of things are affected, especially in the light polluted area, because the light pollution bounces off the upper atmosphere. In some places, like if you're in a boreal sky of 0, 1, 2, 3, you might not see the results of the ADU as much because there's no light pollution bouncing off of that haze. So for me, where I'm at, it's a great measurement system. Probably anything above a boreal sky of 5, you'll start to see it affected quite a bit.
And is that just a feature in SGP?
No. Most programs have a ADU setting. So like in SGP, you'll see your histogram off the one side, and then you'll see below it your ADU mean. So it kind of coincides with the histogram. So you want all your data on the histogram to be off on the left-hand side, right?
Yeah.
You don't want it to clip, but you want it to be just right of the left side. And that coincides with the ADU mean as well.
Yeah. I've always just paid attention to it when I take my flats, but that was always just like me looking up what it needs to be at for those flats. But
yeah, so
it's great to actually have some more specifics on what it actually is.
Yeah, so for me with my flats, I use an LED light panel, and I usually ride my ADU at 10,000, and usually that will calibrate perfectly for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems like all those CMOS cameras are like 20 and 25. But again, I don't really know what that means.
Yeah.
Say, Douglas, I remember looking at those images from your backyard observatory, and it made me want to ask a question, because it always seems to be, and I know you've tried with an OAG, and you're using a big scope there, and what I've heard is when you get above a certain focal length, you get more benefit from an OAG, and so you're using just a regular guide scope like Chuck and I are. And is there a reason for that?
I've tried using the OAG before, and I absolutely hate them.
Yeah, I couldn't even, that's the same problem I had. Basically, I got away from it because my stars were already round, but also I couldn't, everything I did to it, I got a shadow over my sensor, and flats would even, fix it. So I definitely got away from the OAG for myself.
Yeah. So the pickoff prism has to be on the long side of your chip of your camera, and you can't have it extended too far out for obvious reasons. So that's the first thing. The second thing is focusing problems between your camera and focusing for the star. And then lastly, you get a lot fewer stars to pick from with an off-axis guider too, which I don't like either. I like having the ability of having different stars, because each star has a different signal to noise ratio. And I prefer a very bright signal to noise ratio just in case haze comes in. So when I go to bed, if there's haze comes in, but that star has a super high signal to noise ratio, I don't have to worry about losing guiding when I'm sleeping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's like gear, and you see it, and it's hard not to want it. But I haven't noticed anything. I think PhD2 has a phenomenal new feature, that multi-star guiding, and so I don't know. I've been getting phenomenal guiding, much better once we've gotten that multi-star guiding, that new update that came about half a year ago, maybe.
I haven't tried it yet. I heard about multi-star guiding, but I'm in the camp where if it ain't broken.
Right. Right.
I'm so used to doing what I'm doing now that most of it's pretty self-automated. I mean, obviously I'm running into problems here and there, but usually they're typical problems that I'm used to dealing with, you know?
Well, that's really great. I did see you had one image. I think I can see it over there. Is that you've got a magazine shot with the California Nebula?
No, this is a Sharpless object called Sharpless 132.
Well, no, I'm referring to the left of
California.
it.
Oh yeah, right there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that NGC 1499. That's a great image of that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, the actual image itself is right there.
Oh yeah, that's even clearer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, magazine always kind of mutes some of the colors and whatnot, you know.
Wow. Well, hey Douglas, do you mind if I share a picture of NGC 17 too?
Oh, please do. Let me stop sharing here.
Now this is not mine.
I gotta figure out how to stop sharing. Okay, I think I figured it out.
Sometimes it's hard to find.
It is. The top of the screen. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, there we go.
Awesome. Okay, let me pull this up. Now, I'm gonna share. We like giving shout outs, and we definitely like giving shout outs to people's names that I have difficult pronouncing. But this incredible picture of the California Nebula here is from.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Wissam Ayoub, and so I apologize, Wissam, for pronouncing that so bad. But the California Nebula is awesome.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
you know, I've never really gotten the integration time, Douglas, on any object. The longest one I've done was 44 hours on the Sol Nebula last Christmas. I've never gotten the triple digits like you have, but there is something about the California Nebula and all your images. That California Nebula, it's pretty cool. How does it make you feel, Chuck?
Oh, well, it makes me feel good.
Yeah?
I like it a lot. One thing I wanted to ask real fast. So at this point in your journey with astrophotography, are you looking for more fainter, like less well-known objects to go after versus, you know, stuff that's in the Messier catalog and NGC? Or do you just not get tired of the big objects or the more popular objects?
Was that a question for me?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Douglas. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm sure you can see from my Astrobin that the objects I go for are more obscure and rarer that I've been going for.
No, I've never seen your Astrobin until now. So, but I did notice you have a lot of
Well, yeah,
fainter planetary objects.
almost all those images I had never seen previously, so it was a true pleasure getting to go and just look through all your work. I mean,
the reason why I do a lot of planetary nebula is because since I live in a boreal sky of 8, most of them consist of hydrogen alpha and oxygen 3. So it's a lot easier for me to, I guess, get past the hurdle of trying to do broadband here.
Right.
And so when I pile on the data and the integration time, it actually is meaningful for me, as opposed to doing broadband. And then I'll do like an hour each of RGB just to get some color for the stars, you know, and then overlay that in after I remove the stars with the original planetary nebula.
I'm guessing you're doing everything through PixInsight.
No, actually, you know, it's funny because when I first started learning about PixInsight, I used to try to do as much as possible in PixInsight. And now I've over the past couple of years, I've kind of reversed that quite a bit. So I do mostly just pre-processing PixInsight. I'll do some dynamic background extraction. I'll do a little bit of masking, and I'll do some cropping and other things. But I've moved back into Photoshop because Photoshop gives me a lot more control over masking and some other things that I can do. So ultimately, these things, these things end up. In fact, if you want, I could share my screen with you with that one I just worked on,
Please.
in Photoshop. So I'll show you how I handled it with the layers. Let me pull that up for you real quick here.
I do enjoy how simple and easy and well Photoshop does at noise reduction.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, it's just that. I mean, like, you know, PixelSight has some really nice noise reduction stuff too. But the ability to control things in layers in Photoshop opens up a whole different thing, you know? So yeah, let me pull this one up here real quick, and I'll show it to you here. And this is, of course, the one I just worked on. Oops, wrong window here.
Yeah, we'll do it after this.
Okay, here, hold on one second. Okay, I got it open. Let me go to the screen sharing thing here. Hold on.
Yeah, for my demos.
Start screen share, and there we go. Okay, so my screen is sharing, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
for sharing.
Okay, so if you look off on the right side here, you'll see all my layers I got going on. So once I deselect a lot of the stuff that's going on here, you'll start to see a breakdown of.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, where's this one right here? Okay. So yeah, ultimately the first thing I started working on first was the background core.
No, I've never seen this before. It's pretty
Yeah. So, why isn't that pulling up all the way? Core extra, background. Oh, right here. This is why. Okay. So this is first of all, I try to process out the background supernova remnant right here, which is all this background stuff, right? That was my major focus. I had a lot of what's called modeling. So like if you over process something and sharpen it, you start to get what's called modeling, which is like this goopy looking thing going on. And what happens? So like this is, you can see how like there's like little pits of things going on there. So I ran a high pass on there to get rid of some of the modeling, and you can see before and after. And then I over processed around the core of NGC40 here, so you start to see it's kind of bloom.
right.
So I brought back in another, where I did another histogram transfer in PixelSight and brought it back down to, so it was less blown out right there on the core, right? And then from there, so I was trying to bring out some more of the inner edge core before you get to the main core. So there's like this mid area right here where you start to see like this core change. And then from there, I put on like this is the actual core itself, which you can kind of zoom in here. So that's the actual core right there.
That is awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. And then yeah, so I did a lot of sharpening on this inside core here, right here. You can see there's a white dwarf in the center.
That's awesome.
Like any other
that's
planetary
amazing.
nebula.
Celestial egg or something. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Or some sort of jewel.
Yep. And then from there, I added some an hour each of RGB stars. I did 2 layers. One here, I gave it a little bit more of a kick. And then, of course, just my watermark here. And then that was the final image.
That's awesome.
Well,
So-
yeah, it is fantastic.
Photoshop.
One of a
Still
kind.
Stick with Photoshop.
Yeah, I mean, Photoshop gives you a lot more control over layers. PixelSight doesn't have layers, you know? So anything that you do is destructive to the whole image, or, you know, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think I've learned more on this show than
Yeah.
than anyone previously, Douglas. It's so great. Yeah, and I just keep going back to that California Nebula, Chuck. I just, you know, it just almost drags me in. I want to go.
Yeah, we got a little. So just so y'all know, we got a little skit coming.
We got a skit. Yeah, we
So
do.
there's Petty Officer Ross, and I can't deny it. Captain Roberts, Standing Officer Gillis, friends and passengers, I have to go.
What? Roadmaker, what are you talking about?
The ropes have been made. The ship will not fail you. The edge of Western civilization has called, and I'm ready to settle in a final location.
I guess I can't blame you, Roadmaker. I mean, long-distance calls, they must be received, and thankfully, the stars never dial collect, do they? I think you were flown into California Nebula. But Chuck, how are we going to find our way now? Douglas Struble has taken us so deep, and how are we going to find our way out without your gravity-crunching lasso?
Well, friends, the practice runs are over. I've secured the ropes. I will repeat, the ship will not fail you. There's no turning back now. The AI of the mothership will not allow it. My suggestion, sailmaker, is to unfurl the big sail and set to the gear shift for the high gear of your soul.
So what you are saying is we should run like an antelope out of control.
Rah rah Rico.
Run, 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 run. There he goes. Our Roadmaker is gone. We hope our ship stays together. Safe travels, Roadmaker, leaving us in the middle here of the abyss, deep, deep in the Milky Way, the planetary nebulas. I mean, I don't know where any of these pictures Douglas Struble showed are from. I'd never seen any of them before. I'm lost. I don't know about you all. Passengers, I'm going to have to be real with you. We're going to need some serious integration time to find our direction. And our only hope is to increase the F-speed on our telescope and to start flying fast. So let us follow the Roadmaker's advice and put up that big photon-catching sail. Because, you know, even if we travel the speed of light, it might take 500 million years for someone to see us. But thankfully, if we fly fast enough, that 500 million years will be just an instant. The 500 years will be just a dream. So passengers and crew, rest your eyes. Trust where Captain Roberts is taking us. Story time is now. So I hope everybody's feeling all right. I hope you're not too scared. But the mothership, it's not going home. We're gonna have to keep going further. And you know, we are in that great expanse now. The great void. We are nothing but a speck of sand dancing in that great gig in the sky. And I don't even know, are my eyes even working? There's nothing I can see. My nose is not smelling. There's not even a breeze. There's not a single thing for my mind to perceive. This place where Douglas Struble has taken us is beyond all I can conceive. But what does it matter? This poem won't make sense. We have thought it immaterial that our language could make us dense. What's really out there between the planets and between the stars? What exists between Venus and Mars? Bouncing across galaxies, how long could it take? Please, mothership, give me the measurements, if only for my mind's sake. Our sail is wide open and we're flying fast. Our brave Captain Roberts has surely stepped on the gas. Will we make it? Are we able? Passengers, put aside your fears. It's time. Yes,
I don't need this chair.
it's time. That's just a space between our ears. We'll be arriving in an instant, and it will take 1,000,000 years. We'll take pictures, tell stories, and even shed tears. For in the void there is a thing, or maybe it's nothing. I don't know. How do you describe the space in a whole? No Cartesian moment that fits, no equations, no comprehending that with no limits. The ship's AI keeps on working, for this has got to be exact. Our baker needs the right numbers for his pie to become fact. Or so we thought. Yes, it seemed. Every other option was extreme. Space is ludicrous. Space is obscene. Space will always be full of things we've never seen. Truly, it makes no sense. And maybe this is all just for flatter. That there is a billion times more space than matter. Friends, we're almost there, almost to the point where we are free, because all this empty space is nothing but a sea of potentiality. And there's no stopping this mothership of astrophotography. And, oh my God, is it? Chuck, you made it! Chuck's back! Oh my gosh! All right.
Can y'all hear me?
Chuck's back. I'm okay. We're okay. We're gonna make it, guys. We are gonna make it. Why don't you tell us what's really going on, Chuck?
Yeah, can y'all hear me? Is my mic on?
Yes.
Okay. So I will be moving to California in the next 2 weeks. My wife got a job out there, and I will be going to work for Woodland Hills, but I will still be involved with Explore Scientific. I'll still be on the show and everything, but we're just giving an update to the audience of what's going on. So if y'all don't see me for a little bit, that's what's going on. And I wanted to show some images of what I did, because I haven't been on the show in a while, but I can't get in there to show them. So next episode, I'll show some images of, I've done a bunch of images recently. So unfortunately, I can't get in there right now, but like I said, next week, I'll definitely show them for sure.
Chuck, one of your most recent images of mine that is so good it wasn't even a picture of the stars. It was the picture of that Hollywood sign.
Oh yeah.
You do great work on, up and down.
Hey, Chuck, I just wanted to say congratulations and have a good trip to California. And you're going to have a blast, and it's great to see you on the West Coast. And,
yeah, man. Maybe I can come and see you. Now I got to deal with light pollution, but hopefully
you'll have to deal with more transparent skies. California has some very transparent skies, and so there's some very decent sites out in the desert, not too far away from where you'll be living. There's Mount Pinos, which is also very popular for astrophotographers. So out there, give me a buzz and I'll get you hooked up.
I'm definitely going to be in your ear about where to go for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I can't believe I can't get in there. But I'll just wait till next week to show what I've done. I've done a bunch of
your picture of the rosette that you've got behind you, but I think you did a more recent edit of that on Instagram on your day and night photography page on Instagram. It is one of the best I've ever seen. I love the way you synthesized the green channel or I synthesized the green channel through a plugin on Photoshop, but it took out all that weird star color and made it I did something different. You just have to wait to see, but definitely scaled down the green out of that camera, and it created a lot better image. Yeah, well, we got a hook for next week.
When you guys yelled out Chuck Ayub was watching the program, and you guys startled him.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I think I can still get in there real fast. Let me see.
Oh, good, yeah. But it's astrophotography takes us everywhere. And
it does. I was telling someone the other day that it's just crazy how the world works. One day you're using Explore Scientific's gear, and then the next that's what you do for a living. So you just definitely never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. We got a good pilot. We got a good pilot on this ship, and now you're off in California and about to become a real celebrity. Maybe we're gonna get. Maybe this show's gonna go viral now that you'll be in California.
No.
Oh.
Hold on. I have it pulled up. I can't. 1 second.
Yeah, just share your screen.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Is it at the top?
The share screen
Yes, sir.
feature. Look at the very bottom. There's a big green
Green.
Oh,
button that says share screen.
It's in my face.
Yeah, and then pick the the application on your desktop that you want to share. There you go. Now you're sharing.
So I've done a bunch of new data.
Okay, that looks like your desktop.
Can y'all see? Y'all can't see anything right now?
I see
gotta
something
choose
look
a
like
different
a
screen.
polished steel sphere with some water and some stars behind it or something.
Ross, can you see that image or no?
No, you need to select. Go to stop sharing, reshare, and select. When it pops up, select the one you would like to do.
Okay, 1 second.
You're back where you were.
Yeah, it's frozen. I'm just gonna have to get out of here.
Unshare that screen. I got a couple images from last week that I'll share real quick before we get off. And give this a try.
All right, I'm back.
Okay. It says your screen's still sharing. At the top, it'll say to stop sharing. In top middle.
Yeah.
That's what you're sharing.
Oh, okay. And then where do I go?
Go to share screen.
Mm.
Now somebody else is already sharing. So you can't-
Okay. What if I pulled it over here?
No, that doesn't help.
Okay. Oh, I'll just do it next episode.
No, go ahead and once you stop sharing, okay. All right, he stopped. All right, now click here. 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 Okay, pick the application you want to share.
Okay.
That one.
See, we'd be nowhere without Captain Roberts.
Yeah, exactly. All right, can you see now, Ross?
Yes, we can. There it
Okay,
is.
thank you. So that's the new Rosette Nebula that I did, and all I did was I just
Nice.
basically synthesized that green channel out of there, and then also, I mean, I did some other editing to it, but that's the new Rosette Nebula. And then,
Well, hey, show us your partner out there when you're taking images. I see some little four-legged friend that might
Oh,
be
Arnold?
outside with you while you're imaging.
yeah, that's the Eagle Nebula that I did recently. I did some tilt action, so the side is out of focus.
Okay.
That's the Dumbbell Nebula. I'm still working on this. I need a lot more data to get out that planetary gases coming off that nebula. But that just alone right there, that's 7 hours of data, and I still couldn't get those that gas coming off of it. I think this is my favorite image I've ever done.
Yes.
This the Wizard Nebula.
The wizard. I mean, you can see the hand popping out.
Yeah, and the little bubble down there with the star in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the last one I did. That's the
Well, show us your
Terrific Nebula.
dog.
Oh yeah,
Show us a picture of your dog.
that's Arnold.
There.
That's gonna be my imaging buddy whenever I go out to the desert.
Awesome.
And that's it.
I love dogs.
Oh yeah. Now I love him. He kind of saved me in a weird way. He definitely taught me responsibility. But yeah, that's it. I just wanted to show those images because, like I said, I haven't been on in a while, so I just wanted to show some of the work that I've done since the last show. But let me stop sharing, and I'm gonna come back there, Ross.
All right, Chuck. Well, Godspeed, man. We are so proud of you, dude. We are really
like I
excited
said,
for you, and jealous. I'm jealous. So.
Nah, I'm just glad that Scott's allowing me to still be involved. That's awesome. So,
that's it's really a good thing. So
yeah.
thanks for staying involved. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, I'll be back there.
Well, I will let our passengers know. We've got a really cool guest on next week. Last name Hubble. Maybe spelled a little bit differently, but you know, trace it back far enough, and you're gonna get the same great grandpa somewhere way back there. And so we've got a really cool guy coming on. Now you may have seen him on some of our other shows, but we're gonna talk about some stellar imaging errors that we all run into, how to avoid them. We're gonna talk about some early days of astrophotography and how you get that star you want to guide on in between the crosshairs, and you gotta watch it and keep watching it all night to get one or two photos. And so Jerry Hubble will be our guest next week, and we're gonna continue flying fast. And we're just happy for Chuck right now. He's going to California. It's awesome. So he's gonna have some great images for us, and we can't wait to see him and see where the mothership takes him.
All right. So you guys have a great weekend. Doug Struble, thank you for being our special guest, and thank you to the audience for watching. And until that time, we get back together again on Monday. Keep looking up. We have our Monday normal show of How Do You Know with Dr. Daniel Barth. So take care and enjoy the night skies. We'll see you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Captain Roberts.